Hello, my name is Billy with Coach Dooley's List. Thank you for tuning in again. Like I tell you at the beginning of every episode here, if you please like and subscribe to the channel or whatever social media you're seeing on this, it definitely helps us out. I am here today with Coach Emily Wilson at Archer High School. Coach, thank you very much for meeting with us. And, I just always tell coaches, hey, if we can just start with your coaching journey, I know you are a jack of all trades, involved in a lot of stuff. So tell us a little bit about your coaching journey.
All right. Well, first of all, thanks for having me. I started out actually coaching here as a community coach in 2012, and I was blessed enough to work with a great staff, and we won state. And so my first year, I was 1-for-1.
Spoiled.
Yeah, I was a little spoiled that. Then went off to grad school at West Georgia and became a graduate assistant and got kind of my feet into the college coaching world. Learned about the recruiting aspects and a lot of expansion of just the softball game of knowledge. And then kind of graduated, didn't know what I wanted to do, whether it be stay in college or come back to high school. And was blessed enough to kind of find passion in special education. So came back and was blessed to get hired by Coach Stoker here at Archer as an assistant and kind of have stayed here ever since. And 7 years ago was offered the head job and was able to take over and be really a part of this community and this special program that is Archer. So
I love it. And so you also, I know you coach softball. What else have you been involved in?
10 years ago when I started teaching, they needed a female track coach because they needed an assistant that was a female. So I hopped on, young coach, no responsibility. So you're like, okay, let's do it. And 10 years later, I'm still doing it. More of the director of operations side of things now, but love coaching track. And then this past year, I was asked to assist with flag football and, just trying to help every, young athlete, young student in the building kind of keep their hands in athletics. So
there's a lot to do nowadays. Now,
yes,
how
sir.
many, and this, I know this is what I sent you, but how many of your girls, I know flag kind of overlaps with the other fall sports. How many of your softball girls hop right into flag? You have
So I had 3 or 4 do flag this year. Some of it more my JV girls because they were done. This year, my seniors, kind of want to play. So I'm, I told them, hey, once softball ends, we can rock and roll and let you play that. I try to get my girls to run track. I really just throughout the last 10 years have seen an abundance of how it affects their game in the sport of softball. If you've played us, we're a very fast team. So we try to work that out. I think I had about 8 or 9 of my softball girls run track this year. So we try to keep all of our athletes, doing all the different sports. So.
I love that, especially in a school this size, because you hear that a lot with smaller schools, but y'all being a 6A school, I love it. And it is difficult. You have to be able to work with whether it's going from flag to, or softball to flag or even to track, because a lot of the kids that do play softball are technically year-round with their travel and everything else. So I know being able to work with them. So in all your years of coaching, whether it's track, college, softball, flag, all those things, coaches try to kind of generate, what they want their program to be seen for. So what is it you want any of your programs, but I know specifically softball because you're the head coach, what is it you want Archer softball to be known for?
So ironically, I'm going to use a scouting report that was given on my team going into the state playoffs a few years ago. This head coach, and she's a good buddy of mine, stated this team plays with so much passion and so much energy and the love for the sport. They feed off of each other. Each at bat filters into the next, and that's kind of what we do here. We want not one big play, but many little plays that build into much more. So a team, a program that's full of passion, full of love of the sport, and just play, and we like to wreak havoc, is what we say. So.
Well, when you have speed, then you can wreak havoc. That is for sure. Now, I find this interesting. So you got a scouting report on yourself?
Yes. So me and my buddy, can I shout her out?
Absolutely.
Jess Sinclair from Parkview. We kind of did a little thing where she said, hey, people send scouting reports all the time. Would you send me one that you would say about my team? And I'll send you one that I would send on your team. Not to say we sent that out to other people, but what we think would send on ourselves. So that's what she said. So, yep. So that's how we worked it out.
I love that.
Yeah.
I've actually heard a couple of baseball coaches talk about that they will ask coaches, especially after a loss, what did you see? What do we need to work on? That kind of stuff. And it takes a humble coach to be able to do that, because you might not always get the answer that you want.
That's right. That's right.
No, that's awesome. So, in all your years, and it could be, like I said, college, track, softball, flag, anything, you always ask, what's one coaching story that you love to tell, or just something you always just look back fondly on?
Well, everybody's probably going to be like, oh, the year you won state, right? No, I mean, that was a phenomenal team. I loved every minute of it. And of course, being 1-for-1 was awesome. But my 2 years coming back, we had a team where we started 5 freshmen. We weren't really supposed to go that far. We ended up playing North Gwinnett in the second round at North Gwinnett. They were the #1 seed. We're, very young. And we beat them, and we're headed to Columbus with 5 freshmen. And then we show up and we face Kelly Lynch the first game in East Coweta. And we get steamrolled, I think 8-0 or something like that. And we're super young. And, as freshmen, either the moment's too big or the moment it's not there because they just are 14 and they don't know. And, we kind of sat down as a team after the East Coweta loss and said, look, we can lose tomorrow and go home, or we can get on a ride and keep going. And we won 4 straight games, and we got 3rd in state with, a team that initially, we got 2nd in region. We're headed to North Gwinnett, and I still talk to the former coaches here, the head coach that hired me, Eric Stoker, and we still talk about that team and just how fun it was. And they were so young, and, we wore red Crocs to opening ceremonies. They were huge on Crocs. So Stoker got them team red Crocs, and it was just a team that really sits in your mind of just, they were fun, they were young, and they just played with no, result because they didn't know. So that was 3rd in state, but, it was a fun ride. So,
well, it makes me think of 2 things. Talking to Roger Parham, I know we talked last weekend about Coach Parham, and he said, he had Coach Danny Redchild told him one time, from a coaching standpoint, he said, you don't know what you don't know. I think that's great sometimes with freshmen, because sometimes you think, oh, the moment's going to be too big, but then sometimes you realize they don't realize that the moment's supposed to be too big for them, and they're just like, hey, we're here to play.
Exactly.
No, that's awesome. And this too. Sometimes our best coaching jobs aren't the championships.
Yep.
Coaches get accolades all the time for winning region, winning state, and they get the awards, which is great, and they definitely need to be celebrated. But there are times when your best coaching jobs, you may finish 4th or even 5th because of, just all the things that go along, not just the talent, but all the outside stuff that may prevent you or help you from winning. So that's awesome. So what's one piece of advice you would give for somebody who thinks they want to become a head coach one day?
I would say when I first took over, I tried to do everything. I was like, it's my responsibility. They've given me this title. I have to do everything. Delegate and allow, help, and allow, hey, this is something that someone else can do, and it takes away from the 20 other things that as a head coach you have to do. And it's something minuscule like turning in transportation form, you have an assistant coach that can do that. Let them do it, So I think the first year I was like, oh gosh, I have to do everything. And I was stressed out because it was like, you just have to do everything. Delegating to, assistants that you hired, that they're good. So let them do their job as well.
I agree. And I think a lot, and I talk to a lot of coaches, and also giving them something that they're comfortable in doing.
Yes.
And this, if you give the bus forms to somebody and they don't really want to and might not pay attention, you may not have a bus.
Exactly.
That's hard to call the other coach too. So no, but I do love that because that's definitely important. And and all the delegating, I know sometimes coaches do delegate for uniforms or shoes, or we're sitting in your locker room. Y'all got a lot of cool stuff in here. So all the other things, the outside stuff outside of coaching, you're dealing with vendors, you're ordering things, you're getting people to come in and work on stuff. So I always ask for vendor shout outs. So who's 1, 2, 3, 10, people that you just love to work with? Yeah.
So I love Damon Gaubert at Shuma. He outfitted me in our nice end of the year season shirts, big mouth signs. He does our name tags and all of our signage. We have our state champion sign out there. He does most of our signage around our school too. And then BSN, this year we went with BSN with our new uniforms, and we got some Nike stuff. So those are 3 vendors that have made it so easy for me in the transition of being assistant to head coach to kind of get everything I need and make sure my girls are happy and looking good.
And this, if they're happy, then things
Things
go a lot easier a lot of times. So,
yes, sir.
well, listen, Coach, I really appreciate you taking. It's Friday.
Yes,
Not
sir.
everybody does things Friday, and I appreciate you meeting with us today. And good luck with all the things you're coaching.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much.
Appreciate it.